as we told you yesterday, there's breaking news this week from Japan that is very, very important. And although we shared this with you yesterday, I want to recap again today. They found a COVID vaccine database covering 18 million citizens had just been released for the very first time. And after reviewing that data, a top professor warned, quote, the more doses you get, the sooner you're likely to die. Now, the most terrifying finding was a deadly spike 3 to 4 months after the final shot. So in other words, as I mentioned yesterday, Japan is acknowledging that which we've been warning you about on this show for many years, and that which our own government, including the Trump administration, refuses to acknowledge, that the COVID-19 quote-unquote vaccines are actually biological weapons, poisons designed to kill rather than cure or prevent. The data is presented by a coterie of respected Japanese experts and even members of Japan's parliament. One of those men is Dr. Yasufumi Murakami. He's a professor at the Tokyo University of Science, where he serves as vice director of the Research Center for RNA Science. According to that professor, quote, the more doses of the vaccine you get, the sooner you die. So now the question becomes, what did the United States government know about these so-called vaccines, and when did they know it? Because we certainly aren't or haven't been given much transparency related to the information. We're now joined by Masako Ganaha. She's an independent investigative reporter from Japan, and Michael Yan, an independent war correspondent who you all know so well. Thank you both for joining us today. I think with the conflict in Iran, the Israeli-Iran conflict, this is a story that's getting overlooked. And though it's kind of common sense, right, based on all the problems we've been talking about and highlighting, and the myocarditis, the turbo cancer, and other issues with the jabs, I mean, it only makes sense that the more doses you get, the sooner you would have an ill effect like death. But to have actual scientists of this caliber, Masako, someone so respected in Japan as this particular professor and scientist, and even official elected government officials now adding their voices to this finding and highlighting the problems, are we making headway finally in exposing what these jabs really do to the human body, Masako?
Oh, yes, thank you very much for spreading this information. A couple of days ago in Japan, I myself included, the National Coalition to Stop mRNA Vaccine, that's the name of the group which created this database, released this massive database. And before I begin to explain what we did, we made a little correction. The title of the live stream was 1.8 million people's database, but that terminology was not accurate. So we made a correction. It's instead of 1.8 million people, it's 1.8 million vax total number. But because of the number is so massive and it's already past the threshold, so the outcome and the analysis of what we found has not changed. The impact has not changed, but we want to be more accurate. That's why we made this correction. And as you explained, during the live stream we did, Professor Murakami, he was originally thinking before analyzing this database, people likely to pass away after getting injection within about like a week. But the key findings of this database is that 3 to 4 months, the data made a curve. So it's so obvious that the effect of this poison is much longer than we actually expected. So we are finding more and more news. And actually, the group created this database not only to provide the world the findings, but also we want to provide raw data so the researcher all over the world can use this data to analyze on their own. So we are building even more bigger. that's what I want to explain. And soon we are going to have an online press conference for researchers, mainly open to public in English, so people can ask questions to the professor too.
That would be really fantastic. And I'm sure that, so I just to recap what you're saying, you're making this data available to others across the globe, right? So scientists can verify, check the data for themselves. And I'm sure that you would love, and the professor, I'm sure, would be happy to engage with Trump administration officials, particularly Bobby Kennedy's team, right, at the Health and Human Services Department.
Actually, you know, Professor Murakami once asked me if he can be in touch with Mr. Kennedy. Well, I don't have a direct connection. So if anybody who watches this can connect the professor with the administration, providing the raw data, please. We found a huge information database. And one more thing I want to emphasize is that in Japan, it's very unique that we have a strong family registration system. In other words, we can trace, for example, if I go to City Hall and ask for a paper of where I'm come from, like the office can provide me with my name and my family and the relation all the way up to long ago with ancestor. So for researchers' point of view, Japan is a very good place to do this study and then also the genetic study too. And so because our government hide and even manipulate the data, so ordinary housewife people, mainly all the volunteers decided to go to the office on their own, City Hall, and ask for the raw data. So they know names and when they took the shot, the lots, and how many people passed away, all the data. That's what we are building. And I hope Michael can help this creating this connection. You raised the hand.
I can tell you with a very strong percentage, that someone from Health and Human Services is watching this segment. And Michael, you are quite well connected. Don't you think this is something that even this data out of Japan is noteworthy for the Trump administration?
Oh, extremely. And Masako knows Dr. Yasufumi Murakami very well. And in fact, Masako and I have spent a lot of time with him, like in his laboratory and that sort of thing. And it's interesting, when we did interviews with Dr. Murakami, doctors and scientists around the world reached out to me to get in contact with Dr. Murakami. I mean, he's very well respected in Netherlands and other parts of Europe and obviously the United States. So he's a key man, and Masako is right in the middle of this stuff. And so I actually would like to be quiet and listen more to Masako, actually.
So you're going to hold a press conference, and you hope to engage with more people across the globe by holding it in English. Any expectation on the timeline for that, Masako?
So a couple hours ago, I just talked to the organizer of this group. So we are seeing maybe within a week or 2 weeks. It depends on how we can do, but I'm sure that I get contact with many researchers across the world that they want the data. So we will be in rush.
That's great. And as far as continuing on with this research, is the professor continuing to expand the research? I know that's a very strong database of numbers, but what is his next priority in the research? Just connecting with people across the globe, or is he conducting more research, Masako?
Yes, Professor Murakami, he is now working on publishing the paper, study paper, because we just released June. Sorry, it's 1 a.m. in the morning. My brain is not working.
Oh, bless your heart.
Like 4 or 5 days ago. So whoever wants to see actual data, you can go to their website. And actually, for now it's in Japanese, but they have a spreadsheet, and you can see each lot and the percentage of people who have passed away but those numbers are not actually proved to die from the vax, but the actual number we know. And one more thing, it was very shocking for me to find out recently. One of the doctor in this group talked about. So we have a sort of like a VAERS system where they analyze and they get a report from the doctors who passed away after getting injection. And so because we have the raw data, what we can do is in this city, this number of people passed away within a day of getting injection. So let's say there is 3 people passed away within a day. But when we see the number that's registered in this organization, it's called PMDA. They have lesser number. So what we can see now is that this the research institute, which supposed to warn us about this injection, is hiding or don't have the exact number. So whatever they say, their number is manipulated. And this is just I have not verified, but there's one whistleblower who used to work for this PMDA receiving this data from the doctors, report from the doctors. Her job was she get a facsimile from the hospitals or doctors, not the email. This AI 20th century now. And then her job was she needs to get rid of 99% of the papers she received.
Wow.
So she gets
to cover it up?
paper. Yes, that's the whistleblower was talking about. So she gets 100 paper, keep one paper, toss out 99%. Professor Murakami and the congressman actually met this whistleblower. So as we do this data research with the raw data and the data that PMDA have, what this whistleblower is saying seem to be correct. So that's the development that we are finding out.
So the data that when you look at it, it verifies these claims from the whistleblower with her actions, saying that she threw out 99% of the faxes, the actual sheets of paper she got reporting these adverse events that you say is a system like VAERS, correct?
Yes. So we want to verify those kind of whistleblower information, but there are no data provided by the government. So what our actual volunteers are doing is what government's supposed to do. So that's how important this study.
That's what we've had to do since 2020, right? You had the War Room Posse and the Daily Clout obtaining the Pfizer papers and analyzing the research that was contained therein that shows that they knew, immediately that these shots were going to be deadly, which brings us to where we are. And Michael, real quick, I just want you to wrap this up and put a bow on it for us, because when we're talking about the implications of this research and the fact that we compare that up and we know what they knew, and a large, actually, I said, when did the government know? What did they know and when did they know it? Well, based on the Pfizer papers, we know they knew pretty early on, right? They knew at the beginning, which means it seems a concerted effort to, kill people. Where do we go from here? Because I know I've talked to Dr. Robert Malone, who has now, been appointed to an important board by Bobby Kennedy. He had mentioned before that we need to readdress that Trump needs to redo the bioweapons treaty from decades ago. But this has major implications regarding a bioweapons program that we know we have here in the United States, but not supposed to talk about, correct?
Yeah, they definitely knew that this was a weapon because they deployed it and shot us with it, just as if they had shot us with M16s in the chest. That's exactly what just happened. I mean, they've already murdered an unknown number of people. It's some very large number around the world. Nobody knows that number. Obviously, they're actively trying to cover it up, and not just trying to cover it up. They're largely successful, except for people like Dr. Murakami and his team, and Misako, which is part of his team. and others. There's many people actually working around the United States and Europe as well. And so they have not been able to hide it. This is straight up a weapon. It's not an experimental vaccine. It's not an experimental anything. It's an actual weapon, and people have been shot and they're dead.
You can't put it any plainer than that, Michael Yon. And that also makes clear why Bobby Kennedy and the Trump administration have to address this. They can't run from it forever. There are rumors floating around Washington, D.C. now that in a couple of weeks, Bobby Kennedy is going to do something about taking the mRNA jabs off the market. But as for now, those are just rumors, as not being confirmed. And people I talked to actually didn't have really we're not very encouraging in talking about the likelihood of that. But we press on. Masako, when you do that press conference in English for English speakers like myself, we'll be watching out for that. We'll share that with our audience because I know there's lots of people that want to tune into that and potentially participate. And Michael Yon, I think you and I will probably be working the phones a little later today. It's good to see you both.
Immediately. Thank you, Emerald, and thank you, Masako.